Special thanks to Awaken Realms Lite for providing me a review copy. I also want to give a very special and heartfelt thanks to each and every one of you. My channel has reached over 5,000 subscribers, and just 2 years ago, I would have never thought this would have been possible. This is a passion project that I have truly enjoyed sharing with each and every one of you, and I am truly humbled and incredibly grateful for all the support and for letting me come into your homes, digitally at least, and enjoying this amazing hobby with each and every one of you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you all so very much. Solo board gaming night here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Tamashii Chronicle of Ascend. As always, I want to give you an overhead view of the table so you get an idea of just how much space the game takes up. And quite frankly, this is a very small game. It doesn't take up a lot of space at all, and I'm pretty sure you won't have any trouble fitting it on any size table. With that out of the way, let's take a look at the box and see what's inside. I'm pretty sure you don't need me to tell you how beautiful the box art of Tamashii is. This is one beautiful looking box, and although it's jam-packed with content, it's not a huge box. Now, be aware, there are a few things I had to change because I decided to sleeve a few cards, so unfortunately, not everything fit into the insert. It's not terrible, but I wish that they would have done something that would have allowed you to be able to sleeve all your cards. Thankfully, the only cards you really do need to sleeve are the enemy cards, the learning protocols, and the bodies themselves. Apart from that, I pretty much left everything in the insert the way I was instructed. The only difference being is where I have the enemy cards placed. That's usually where the bags for the tokens go. I want to say that the token trays were a really nice touch. It really helps with teardown and setup. Now, my favorite part are the miniatures themselves. These miniatures are gorgeous. Now, they're not necessarily needed for gameplay, but personally, for me, it adds a lot, and I personally enjoyed them a whole bunch. The miniatures for Tamashii are drop dead gorgeous. I love them. Now, let's go over just the basics on how the game is played. During the planning phase, you do the trace roll. This is going to determine how many enemies, if any, get attached to the player board. If an enemy is attached to a player board, you simply decrease your trace back down to 0. Next, you refill your launcher from top to bottom and left to right. You put tokens from your bag onto all the highlighted spaces until all the highlighted spaces are filled with tokens. Depending which body you're inhabiting is going to determine how much you can program your launcher. In this step, you could either move tokens up, down, left, or right. That's called sliding, and it's only orthogonal. Or you can actually swap tokens from one place to another with a token that's adjacent to it. Once again, only orthogonally. No diagonals allowed. Your goal during this step is to create asset patterns to help you gain certain benefits that help you along the way. Creating patterns is also how you get to inhabit new bodies and add them to your player board, as well as hack enemies that provide you with certain benefits that hopefully give you the upper hand during combat. The planning phase is also the time in which you can upgrade your player board. During the action phase, this is when you actually get to move around the map itself. There's going to be exploration tokens scattered all around the map. You get to basically just pick them up and add them to your player board. Then you get to reveal the tile that you're going to move on to. It's also going to determine how much trace is going to increase on your player board. Next is the district effect, but every tile is different, so I'll leave that to you to find out for yourself. But this is also where the Jordan bot comes in. This is something for the solo only mode, which I'll talk about later. The launch step is where you can actually launch all the hacks that you created during your programming step. This is how you get a whole bunch of benefits like adding to your assets, hacking enemies that are attached to you to create all sorts of crazy advantages for yourself, and inhabiting new bodies that give you new skills and abilities. During the combat phase, if you have an enemy attached to your player board, you're about to get into combat. Your attack value is going to determine how many dice you get to roll. You're also going to roll two of the distinct enemy dice together at the same time. The results are going to determine which combat frames you have access to, whether or not the enemy misses completely and doesn't fight you, and finally, how many enemies attached to you will attack. If you only have one enemy attached to you, then only that enemy is going to attack you. Combat will then alternate between you and the enemy. Combat's going to keep going, one turn for you, one turn for the enemy, until all of the enemies have taken their turns and you have no more dice or you don't want to play any more dice. You can also activate combat frames on any augment that you have equipped to you. During the quest phase, this is where you could do the player activity step. Also, this is where the Jordan bot once again comes in, but we'll talk more about that later. Finally, you get to do the world activity step. Every scenario is completely different and they're going to have different goals and things you have to do to accomplish or complete the mission. So I'll leave that to you. Now there's a whole bunch of different difficulties as well as different game lengths. It's also worth noting that these are standalone scenarios that you could play. All of these scenarios have multiple paths that you can go through that offer different missions and objectives that you have to do. Not only that, they all unlock different things to add to your game as well as lead to a final mission. And that's just the basics on how to play Tamashii Chronicle of Ascend. And now, on to the review. The art and theme of Tamashii really stands out. From player boards, tiles, and cards, this is a vibrant looking game. Considering this is a hacking themed game taking place in a cyberpunk world, the aesthetics actually fit very well. The theme fits the gameplay perfectly. Hacking bodies lets you inhabit a completely new body with completely different skills and abilities. It actually reminds me a lot of the movie Matrix. While playing Tamashii, the scene of Neo getting Kung Fu uploaded to his brain kept coming to my mind. That part where all of a sudden he became this great Kung Fu master, that's what I felt Tamashii was incredibly inspired by. I mean, it's the same thing. You hack these new bodies that you inhabit, and these bodies have completely new skills and abilities. You also get to hack enemies, which is really cool, and it makes combat fun. Hands down, the most addicting part of this game is the hacking and programming aspect. If you have ever played Bullet Heart or Star, you'll have a pretty good idea of how hacking and programming works here. There are patterns that you have to create in order to reap certain benefits during the launch phase. These patterns reward you with an increase in assets like memory, which allows you to upgrade, shield defense, which gives you extra hits that you can take, reroll, which is pretty much an extra reroll, power, which adds more dice to your attack, and XP pattern that awards you with XP, which is used to upgrade things like your health. It unlocks parts of your board, your launching board. It gains open data tokens, and it also helps you augment your class by making you stronger with these cards that you could unlock. But here's the kicker. You can hack enemies, causing all sorts of effects like damaging them and giving you the upper hand in a variety of ways. This is also how you can hack and inhabit a completely new body. Each body has a complete set of skills and abilities, and even changes how far you can move on the map, as well as how many times you can program or, move those tokens to make programming even easier. I kept looking forward to programming and hacking. This is a very addicting aspect of Tamashii, and it was not only incredibly well done, but I never got tired of it. As you move around the map, enemies trace your location. Depending on where you land, or if you decided to not move, will determine how quickly your trace track increases, making you more visible to the enemy. During the trace roll step, you roll the amount of dice shown on your trace track. However, this is where the game can put a really quick end to your plans. If an enemy spawns, your trace track does go down to 0, but you do have to deal with enemies during combat. Combat is fun, but if too many enemies are attached to you, it may have you resetting your body, which may cause you to lose a really good skill or ability that you were counting on. Having you roll and attach up to 3 enemies at once, as well as there not being a limit on how many enemies can attach to you, can cause really bad things to happen. That can be frustrating. On the bright side, if you lose a body, you can simply inhabit another body and keep moving forward. You don't lose the game by dying. You lose it by running out of corrupted data tokens from the pool or by failing scenario-specific objectives. That does soften the blow, but still it can be a little frustrating sometimes. On the flip side, you can have an amazing roll or use a reroll to completely stop enemies from spawning or even attacking at all. In other words, either really good things are going to happen to you or really bad things may happen to you. I will mention it again. The combat is really fun either way. Another shining point of Tamashii comes in the multiple paths you can take during a scenario that actually changes your objective and the outcome of a scenario. This makes replaying a mission fun and actually unlocks different content. I love being able to unlock content. It keeps me playing and forces me to play differently each time. Not only that, but you get to play completely different objectives as well as witness completely different sides of story beats. The icing on the cake is that you can play scenarios as one-offs. You're not locked into playing a game a specific way. You can attempt to follow the story scenarios back to back, revisit scenarios and choose different paths, or simply replay your favorite scenarios. Either way you choose to play, there's a good chance that you may unlock new content that you previously never even experienced. Although you eventually have seen it all, it will take you a very, very long time to do so. There is a lot of content in this box. Fantastic replayability. The solo mode in Tamashii is outstanding. When I first played Tamashii, I intended to play the prologue true solo and then play two-handed from there on out. However, the Jordan bot is amazing. It doesn't take anything away from the core gameplay at all. You play the game exactly the way you would otherwise. The difference being that Jordan bot can be used to help you explore the map as well as offering you the chance to take over the bot to gain the benefits of the district or to take over during the player activity phase, which can help you complete scenario goals easier. The Jordan bot is a fantastic implementation to be able to play Tamashii true solo, and it's the only way I'll play it. You can lose your Jordan bot if it runs out of charges, but that's nothing a little hacking can't handle. This is a great true solo mode that was implemented so well that if you told me that Tamashii was a solo-only board game, I would have believed it. The art and theme of Tamashii fits the gameplay perfectly, which is clearly inspired by Matrix, and no one can tell me otherwise. The aesthetics make sense with what's happening on the table. Hacking and programming is not only easy to do, but it's incredibly fun and addicting. Hacking enemies and programming patterns to increase your assets and upgrade is something that never gets old and I always looked forward to doing. Enemies can overwhelm you, and when it happens, it can be really frustrating. Dying is not that bad, and good rolls can really give you an advantage as well. The combat is quick and fun, but getting overwhelmed can ruin your well-laid plans. With multiple paths available to you, the replayability of Tamashii is great. Unlocking content makes replaying missions enjoyable and forces you to try new things. You can play scenarios as one-offs, giving you many ways to enjoy each scenario. The true solo mode is outstanding. The Jordan bot doesn't take anything away from the core gameplay. It makes playing solo a blast, and it's the only way I'll play Tamashii. No need to play two-handed here. The true solo, hacking and programming, the multiple paths, and the art really elevates Tamashii to become something very special. Once again, a very big thank you to Awaken Realms Lite for providing a review copy, but an even bigger heartfelt thank you to each and every one of you for supporting me and making this channel what it's become today. Without you, there'd be no solo board gaming night. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope that you and everyone else has a great game night. Take care, Solo Knights.